mahalo for joining me. I'm Janet, and welcome to the Called to Create podcast. And I am here to help you unlock your creative potential and use your God given gifts and start a business. You have so much to share, ladies. And please share this podcast with anyone who you know would get great value out of listening to it. Or if you know anyone that wants to start a creative business, please send it their way. I would appreciate that. Okay, I wanted to do a wrap up about what I've been talking about in episodes number 71 to number 74, which is about mindset. And it's been an interesting journey learning about mindset. And I hope you found great value in what I'm talking about and the things that I'm sharing. And if you haven't had a chance, please listen to any of those mindset podcast episodes. So go back after you listen to this episode, go back and listen to episode 71 to 74. I talk about all different things. And that's why today I wanted to do a wrap up about the topic of mindset and quickly go over the things that I shared because I feel like mindset is so important and it has to be talked about a lot more than it already is. I think more people aren't aware of it or this whole mindset thing, about this whole mindset thing and how your thoughts will create your reality. It's a big, big deal, ladies. I didn't even realize how big of a deal it is until I started learning more about it and talking to so many people about it too. I still have more to learn. So, on episode 71, I talked about what mindset is and I tried to describe it in a way that's not scientific or technical, but I tried to just describe it as like if I were having a conversation with you and you were sitting right here with me. And then in episode 72, I titled it this specific title on purpose. And the title is If You Set Your Mind to It. Like, what? And I don't know if anybody has ever told you that. Like, oh, you can do it, just set your mind to it. It's like, no. Like, what does that mean anyway? That was my reaction when I heard that many, many years ago. And it's not as easy as some people like myself in the beginning when I first heard that. You didn't understand. Like you have to understand what that means and you have to have somebody help you to understand what that means as well. Okay, and then in episode 73, I talked about getting an upgrade. Do you want an upgrade to your mindset? I know I do. And I shared about how you have to come from a place of love and you have to be able to love and accept yourself. In order to upgrade your mindset, you have to love yourself because it's so important when you're thinking. You have to be able to come from that place of love and acceptance and not judgment or being harsh or critical because no one is perfect and you're not perfect. And this applies to me as well. This is not just about like how you think about other people or how you treat other people. It's more important when you get to be able to do that for yourself, like to love yourself and accept yourself. It just becomes easier to love and accept other people when you can accept and love yourself. And that in itself can be another journey. And that is a whole nother like series of episodes we can talk about or I can talk about later about loving yourself because I think I'm still working on that too. Okay, and then in episode 74, I talked about what mindset are you going to choose? And that's the question is what mindset are you going to choose because you do have a choice. I talked about like how we all have free will and agency and how no one is going to force you or no one can force you to think a certain way. You have a choice and I want you to choose so that no one else chooses for you. I want you to be able to experience that freedom of making your own choices and what that feels like. And I also said a number of times in these episodes that there is no such thing as a fixed mindset because we're spiritual beings. There's no possible way anything can be fixed because your mind is your spirit. So, if your spirits are spiritual and eternal beings, there's no way you or your mind can be fixed. You'll always be able to grow and learn and take that knowledge, all of that with you. It's just fear that really, if you think about it, it's just a fear that stops you or anyone in their tracks. And I know this for sure because I've worked with women for over 30 years. And even in my previous jobs that I've had, all my former coworkers have struggled with fear. And when you work with these people for years and you have conversations, and sometimes you even have lunch together or get togethers, or you have company parties or whatever, you get to see how they act, how they think, and the things that they're saying. And if it seems like someone has a fixed mindset, it's really not. It's just a facade for the fear that they're experiencing. And another thing I want to bring up is, have you ever heard the older generation, like maybe your grandparents or anybody like that, or even your parents? Have you ever heard them say things like, oh, well, you can't teach old dogs new tricks, or I'm too old? In fact, I hear that from like everyone who is older than me. It's like, I'm too old. That seems to be like a common theme. And that's just fear coming out. It's not that they can't learn or it's impossible and that they have a fixed mindset. It's all because of fear. Fear of not being smart enough to understand, especially when computers came out way back when. I remember hearing the grandfathers and the grandmothers and all the older generation, they were saying things like, no, you can't teach old dogs new tricks. And I even remember my own grandmother when she was alive. I heard her saying that about something, but I don't remember what it was about. But I remember her saying, oh, yeah, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And I thought, what in the world is she talking about? I didn't understand that kind of language. That was really strange to me. And I don't remember how old I was either. I don't remember if I was a kid or a teenager or a young adult. That was like foreign language. But it's just that fear of not being smart enough to understand technology and the fear of looking stupid. That's like a really big one for people. Nobody wants to look stupid. And I see it so much that fear is just stopping so many people. And of course, I have my own fears that I deal with that has stopped me and sometimes still stops me because I'm far from perfect and I've let fear get in the way. So all of these things that I'm sharing is just from what I know, what I've seen from all my former clients, customers, and coworkers that I've been around for years, some of them. And it really has opened my eyes that you can choose whatever kind of mindset you want to have because it's not fixed. It's only fear that's stopping you. Don't think that it's anything else because bottom line is fear. So if you feel like you can't have a certain mindset about life or things or yourself, just look into what's going on. And it's always fear that's going to show up. Like I said in episode 74, if fear shows up, just push it aside. And I know that sounds easier than it really is, but if you just think about it in that way, like, look, I'm gonna push you aside, fear. You're gonna be there, but just get out of my way, and I'm just gonna plow through it. I'm gonna plow through you and move towards my dreams and whatever I'm trying to do. And that's what I want for you. I want you to say that to yourself. And everybody, has their own way of dealing with fear. But if you can just think about it like that and tell fear, like, look, I'm just going to push you aside. I have dreams to fulfill. Just figure out how you can talk to that fear and just move it aside. Because sometimes what you have to do, even though you try to avoid it, and the fear is still going to show up. And everybody has their own way that they've dealt with fear or that they're trying to deal with fear. But take this time today. I really want to help you to be able to develop a mindset where you're open to possibilities and things that will help you grow and learn and have a happy, fulfilling life. Even with the fear and the stress that shows up, no matter what, just do it. Push the fear aside. You can do it. And I want to invite you to come over and join my Call to Create podcast community in Facebook, where you can connect with other listeners of this show, and I can answer your questions, and you can learn and grow and work together with other wonderful women. I really want you to be there. I'm looking forward to meeting you there. So go over to bit.ly/call to create podcast. And I also want to ask you for a favor. If you can please take a minute to rate and review this podcast. And if you're listening to this podcast in the Apple Podcast app, you can rate and review this show right at the bottom. As soon as you open my show, you can just scroll down and rate it right there. Because reviews are so important. They tell potential listeners and Apple that this show is worth listening to. And I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And if you have anything you want to share with me, you can send me a direct message on Instagram. I would love that too. All right, I will be back to share more of the things that I know that work, and of course, things that I know that don't work from past experience, some painful experiences. So thank you so much. Take care of yourself and have a great day. Aloha.